If we're not at a Disney park, we're dreaming about being there, and a cup of Joffrey's Coffee Disney Blend helps. But what about when you're at a Disney park? The Joffrey's Disney Kiosk and Restaurant Locator will make sure you never miss out. Whether it's a cool drink on a hot summer vacation or a great cup of coffee at a Disney signature restaurant, Joffrey's has you covered. Check it out at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our final boarding call, and the doors will be closing soon.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
I'm Bob Collar.
Bob, this is episode 516, and it's that time of the month yet again.
This is the show that I have been fearing most of all. I don't know. I don't know if I can make it through this one.
It's estrogen filled.
Yeah. The testosterone level is definitely diminished.
It's low anyway when we're on the show.
Just with you and I, but yeah. So, explain to everybody why I'm so afraid.
Well, you're afraid, one, because you're Bob Collar. Two, because this is the DVC Roundtable, and we do not have Brad or Joe with us today, but we are thrilled to be joined by Emily Hansa Hicks.
Woohoo!
And Rebecca Toon.
With the woohoo.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Hey.
Pass the booze.
Oh, wow.
All right.
We've got a lot of estrogen and a lot of stuff to say.
We have a lot lot of purses to talk about.
We have a lot of alcohol to
this
fuel
is not
discussion.
This is not the Dooney and Burke show.
This is the bars and bags show.
We've got some Cafe Feminino in one hand and
that's
some
a good
Cava
show
de tequila.
idea.
Bars and bags.
I like that. That's
Bars
a great
and bags
show.
and bags and bars.
Tim, make sure you copyright that. That's a good show.
I'm already filling out the paperwork. Love it.
Well,
yes.
ladies, welcome, as always, to the DVC Roundtable, where we like to talk DVC, and we actually have some very exciting news from Emily that we'll share here in a little bit. But we're going to jump right into it. So who wants to read our first story of the day?
I will do that.
Excellent.
Love it.
It is neither about bars or bags, but I'll forgive you because I want to be invited to the show.
There's this one has opportunity for visits to bars and purchases of bags.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm excited about. So
Right.
Our first story tonight is about the Disney Vacation Club because it's the DVC Roundtable. But we're specifically talking about the DVC launching a new vacation option for Run Disney fans, and it's called Guaranteed Event Weeks. And I'm pretty sure, having read Emily's Facebook the last few months, she may have been the one who initiated this. As you know, tons of people go down for Run Disney. It has outgrown itself by leaps and bounds. And so now when you purchase a real estate interest for a Guaranteed Event Week at Disney's Copper Creek Villas and the cabins at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, you'll receive accommodations during the Run Disney event weekend of your choice, year after year after year. Now, you can choose from the following events at the Walt Disney World Resort. You can choose the Marathon Weekend, which is in January. You can choose Disney Princess Half Marathon Weekend, which usually falls in February. The Star Wars, the Dark Side Half Marathon Weekend. Is that one in April, Emily, or is that?
It sure is.
Oh, I'm getting
April
better.
20-something.
Yes, I think I was challenged to that one on a podcast last week.
Yes.
And Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon, which is my favorite because it includes bars and bags, and it is usually held in November during the Food and Wine Festival. So once you select your event and purchase a Guaranteed Event Week, you'll automatically have access to accommodations during that week for years to come. If at some point you can't travel during that week, you can release your Guaranteed Event Week and use your membership to book other vacation accommodations for another time and or destination. Man, I think that this is one of the smarter moves that Disney has made, because more and more on the Facebook groups that I belong to, not only for people who own weeks, but also people who rent points, is that they have found more and more that the Run Disney event weekends or weeks are harder and harder to book when they want and to get the accommodations that they want. So I think this is a smart move on a couple of levels. One, I think it's smart for those who own Disney DVC because they can guarantee that week, especially if they're, avid runners, they can guarantee the weekend and the time that they want. But also, coming from my perspective, who is a runner but rents, this actually might push me to buy a little bit further down the line because you really can't rent points during those weekends. They're all gone. Nobody wants to give them up. And those people who own them use them or, they know somebody who does. So it's very hard to rent points during these weekends. So this would definitely be a pro in the to buy or not to buy column for me.
Okay. All right. That was going to be my question isn't it usually pretty easy since how far out do you get, Emily, to book? You got a year, right?
It's your home resort. It's 11 months, isn't it?
Right. And then at any other resort, it's 7 months, any other DVC resort. But I'll tell you what, those race weekends book up at the 11-month mark.
They do.
Especially
I've tried to book at 7 months and couldn't get them.
Yep. If you want Beach Club or Boardwalk for Wine and Dine, for the race, you just have to be an owner pretty much, or you have to pay a real premium if you're going to rent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And just like with any other time that you go down to Disney, location becomes pretty, not necessarily vital, but it is important where you stay during those Run Disney weekends. Mm-hmm. I think at this point they all offer transportation, but some are just preferable to others. And especially, like you said, during the Wine and Dine, to stay at Boardwalk or Beach Club, man, that's just the trifecta.
Perfect. Right. And I don't think you mentioned this. I'm not sure, but you also, according to their website, the owner gets the advanced opportunity to purchase up to 5 race registrations each year for the use of themselves or family members or guests. So even if you weren't going to be staying yourself, I assume they're not going to count renters out as not guests. Mm-hmm. But that would be, just even if you were going to just rent that reservation out, you could rent it to the serious runners that want in for the race and they want that property to rent or they want a place to stay for sure.
And do it as a package.
Right. And the truth is, for Star Wars weekend, Matt and I have booked at, I forget, it's a moderate. Does anybody remember? French?
Yes, Emily, I do remember. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I can't remember names.
Wow.
I believe it's called the Not Grand Floridian.
Right. That's where we'll be staying. At the Not Deluxe.
It's called the Not Deluxe.
Right. But at least it's French, so there's something, right?
Oh, sure.
But we're at the point where, we have we're at the point or the not point where we don't have the points. And so we have to, for Star Wars weekend, we have to actually rent a hotel room. And I think a lot of members, especially once they get involved in Run Disney, become sort of addicted to these weekend trips, and they're not always low point season. So,
yeah, I had a friend of mine, a Facebook friend of mine, who owned points at Beach Club and wanted to book there for the food and wine, and it waited too long and got shut out of using their points. And so they actually turned around and sold their points to a broker to rent out for another time, and then they paid rack rate at the Beach Club.
Oh, yep. Wow.
And he said, in all my years, I never thought I'd never pay rack rate for Beach Club again after I bought my DVC. He said, but it's that important to me to stay on that property during food and wine and the wine and dine.
Yeah.
So, which totally makes sense.
It does. Yeah. And that made, that helped. He said, it made it easier to take the hit on paying rack rate because they turned around and sold their points. Mm-hmm. And so, they made a decent profit on the points. So, but yeah, I think it's a smart move for Disney.
Now, Emily, does it say, is there a minimum number of points that you have to purchase in order to qualify for this?
So it isn't listed on the website, I don't believe. But it's ironic because the guy, I went on a tour of Copper Creek, which I'm sure I'll talk about later. But the guide there mentioned that this was going to be a new benefit when I said something about, wow, you guys know how popular you are, especially with runners. And he said, well, actually... but I believe that you have to purchase a full week. So,
okay.
And your accommodation, your the way the fixed weeks work. And actually he said that the weeks were, if I can recall correctly what he said, and nobody hold me to this, but he said that the fixed week stays are usually like Sunday to Sunday, but they allow you with these circumstances to change those dates slightly so that, because most of the runners will fly in on like a Thursday or Friday.
Right.
So I think this follows the same kind of theme that the fixed week option did, which is where I think you do pay like a 20% premium for the points. You'd get, you buy 20% more points than you need, I think, for the current week. And that's to allow for slush with the schedules because they do reallocate the points every year. Okay. So yeah, I think that's how it works. And I do believe you have the ability to move those around the weekends too.
Yeah, so it's I was just reading a little bit. It's not based on a point value. It is based on a fixed week ownership interest.
Gotcha.
At Copper Creek or Wilderness Lodge.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it has to be one of the race weeks.
It has to be one of those. Right. So, you're not, theoretically, I guess you could broker that week and then maybe turn around and rent points or buy points to stay at Beach Club or Boardwalk if that's what you really wanted to do. But Copper Creek would be a great spot for a runner too, I think.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wilderness Lodge, I think would be too. I think either one of those would be great.
And I'm just seeing it at Copper Creek. They call Copper Creek at Wilderness Lodge. I don't see it as an option for Boulder Ridge.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
I wonder why they chose those two. Any insight, Emily?
So I think they chose Copper Creek because it's for sale, and Olani is also for sale, but they don't have as many runs booked there. I don't think so. I think they're probably testing this. I think if it's successful, I think it's just a spin on the fixed week, which the guide was telling me they didn't find was as popular as they thought it would be, at least for this property, which is funny because I was thinking a fixed week might be kind of nice. That you could plan around, but I think some people like it, and a lot of people are just way more nimble with their vacation planning when they're DVC members.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Who wants to grab story number 2?
Well, I will go just to keep it moving. Excellent. And alternating.
Love it.
Because we ladies are good at sharing and passing the ball back and forth.
Here we go. See, Tim?
I know.
Here we go.
Battle of the sexes, guys.
Oh, wow.
We lose again, Tim.
I knew that going in.
Only because we're louder. But so we have an atrocious story, unless you, of course, stay club level all the time. But for DVC members, the only tiny slice are going to be the ones at Disney's Animal Kingdom villas. Guests staying in certain Disney World accommodations will have the ability to pay for a package of extras, including additional Fastpasses. So for $50 a person, guests can purchase 3 additional Fastpasses per day. But no, this is not offered to everyone. This is only good for those residents at Cascade Cabins at Wilderness Lodge, the Poly Bungalows, not even just a regular Poly room, and the club rooms at Animal Kingdom Villas. So, which actually makes me think, I didn't ask this question, but I wonder if the members at the Cascade or the residents of Cascade Cabins are treated as club guests and if they have club access in Wilderness Lodge, because I'm assuming then that means the Polynesian Villa bungalow people can access the club lounge, but I'm not sure if that's the case. I've never heard of that as a perk. So it's club visitors and then Cascade Cabins and Poly Villa bungalows. And just the bungalows, like I said, so these fast passes, you get 3.
Very specific.
90 days in advance versus the existing 60 and 30-day windows for booking. So the Club Fast Pass add-on will also allow users to book them at more than one theme park and for more than one top-tier attraction, and allows preferred viewing for nighttime shows. And that says it's also included. So I don't know if that's separate than the Fast Passes or if that's one of the options for Fast Passes. It does say a minimum 3-day purchase is required. So I'm not clear as to whether or not that is 3 days worth of fast passes or 3 days worth of DVC accommodations, or if it was 3 days worth of ticket media.
I'm gonna guess it's a $50 per person purchase per day for 3 days.
For 3 days.
At least that's what I've been reading in other groups. That's how they're interpreting it.
Rebecca,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I can tell you, I don't like it. Because
No, me neither.
Please tell us.
No.
Here's why. I don't have a real problem with them selling additional fast passes, although I don't like it because I think it sort of feels inequitable. Yeah, and I feel like Disney still has, there's a lot of pay to play at Disney, but there's still this idea of some equity among all the guests when they come in. But once you start slicing it out within the resort guests even, and then calling, I get it if it's all the clubs, even if it's the, beach club members, everybody staying in a club. And I know they do these like in test markets, so maybe that's what it is.
I wonder if this is
right.
Let's see how many people actually do it.
Right, but I still think it's pretty. It's kind of, I'm Grand Floridian and all, but I think it's a little bit crazy to say, well, the Poly Bungalow people, the Copper Creek people, and the Animal Kingdom clubs. Those are they essentially get put above other guests as far as this option goes, and that doesn't seem fair.
Now, can I ask if you don't like this because the Grand Floridian is not included?
Well, I think it would make more sense.
There's some clarification.
Call you out.
I think everybody would understand it better if the Grand was included. However, I do even think that if the Grand, if their club level was included, or even all Grand guests, I would feel superior to everyone. However, I would also feel like it was still inequitable because, again, it's really obviously, it doesn't even really make a lot of sense to me. I'm sure there's a rhyme or a reason, but I understand why they include Copper Creek because it's a new property and that would incentivize sales there. But I don't understand then why Poly is already sold out. It's sold out on the 10th, I believe.
That may have something to do with the number of units. So
Maybe.
they say this is the max number that we could sell.
Right.
Like if everybody in a bungalow bought this.
Right.
They may be managing the numbers that way.
Right. And maybe they have like more of a, I'm sure they know things about their market that I don't, but I just don't like it. It also doesn't, if every club was included or every deluxe was included or something that was a little bit more across the board. I also don't like the slippery slope of paying for front of the line access. I know Universal does it, but other than Division, yeah.
I agree. Now, I'm going to say this. All right?
Put your finger down.
I'm going to say this. Listen. We were able to get rid of the bungalows because nobody bought the bungalows in Tomorrowland. Nobody did that. So Disney said, okay, this is a waste of money and time. Nobody do this because the last thing we want is to then actually have to pay when we want to ride rides. We don't want to do that. We're already paying for the ticket to get in.
Let's just all agree right
Resort
now.
Resort Loop boycott. We do not buy additional fast passes, people.
No.
And I honestly, I think they're creating it as a perk for club level, and I get that they want to offer them something. I don't know that this is one of those things. I'd be anxious to see how popular this is going to be.
It's an expensive perk to add on too. It's not cheap. You're not getting them.
Exactly.
And it's also one thing if they do it across all the clubs or, a specific category, but this is so arbitrary and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So we're having a Resort Loop boycott of this and the gondolas. I'm just saying.
Okay, wait.
All right.
Wow.
It's like a rider that no one agreed to.
My face is getting all red.
Did you viewers all see those pictures I posted for Bob? Of the,
I saw
Skyway art.
I saw.
Thought we could all enjoy imagining his face.
I did the angry face emoji.
I'm sure Bob is very happy that you did that for him.
They only have the best at the Festival of the Arts there.
There you go. All right, Rebecca, you going to grab story 3 for us?
Sure thing. So this is an interesting story, I find. DVC prices are increasing, pushing some resorts over $200 per point. Just gonna let that. Yes, I'm waiting for the gasp. Disney Vacation Club has been adjusting many DVC resort prices per point, and with the exception of Vero Beach, all resorts considered sold out and live will be experiencing price increases. For the first time ever, some DVC resorts will be priced over $200 per point, including the Polynesian, Grand Floridian, and Grand Californian. These rates apply only to points purchased directly from DVC, not resale brokers. However, those who became members after April 4th of 2016 must have some direct purchase points in order to be eligible for most owner perk programs, including annual pass discounts and the popular Moonlight Magic events. The Polynesian villas were expected to rise from $176 a point to $220 a point, and Bay Lake Tower, the most reasonable on the Resort Loop, at $191 per point. Beach Club remains one of the most popular destinations and is expected to be priced at approximately $185 per point for a contract which runs just 23 or 24 more years, ending in January of 2042.
Wow.
It's staggering.
This is one of those times, I ask DVC owners very often if they ever regret making their purchase, and they always tell me that the only thing they regret is not buying sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think this is one of those times where people who bought early on are literally just rejoicing.
Oh, I'm sure. Wow.
Just like doing cartwheels in the front yard because
fist pumps.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's totally true. And this stems perfectly into my story, which is actually my rant.
All right,
we wound her up. Let's let her go.
Wait, I thought Bob was the only one who ranted on this show.
Well,
we are a rant-friendly show.
We're having his and her rants tonight.
Every day. Yes. So, as you loopers may know, we were forced to book a moderate for the Star Wars weekend.
Forced. Here we go.
My husband was so distressed at this development that he actually gave me permission to purchase add-on points. I know everybody's freaking out with excitement.
Wow.
I just see him like that, like waving his hands in the air, just make a purchase.
He's like, well, actually, it makes a lot of sense for us to throw, another $20,000 at DVC because, obviously it's a little bit like an investment and we're going to use it. And it's not like the price points are going down. So imagine my chagrin when this comes out. This increase happened, I think, on the 15th. And I was literally just on the phone with our DVC guide today because I'm looking at the resale prices and looking at what were the current prices for DVC. And I'm thinking, for a small contract, it's not that much of a big difference. And I've said it on this show before, maintenance fees are where your money is. Mm-hmm. It's 80 to 90% of your DVC costs are going to be your yearly maintenance fees. That's not including financing. If you do that, we try to pay cash for DVC because we consider it a luxury. However, I think that in some cases it makes sense to finance it. So no judgment here. However, let me just tell you, I got the current prices as of today. And if my guide is listening, I'm sorry. I swear I didn't do this to just sell out the current prices. I really am considering buying an add-on, even direct. Because here's why. Those current properties like Grand Floridian, Poly, and Copper Creek are the ones that have 50 years, 48, and 46 years on them. Alani has 44 years on them. So if you're looking to buy direct, you can get a contract that has 50 years on. Please, somebody tell me how in the world you would pay $185, which is what Beach Club is, $185 a point for 24 years of use. It makes no sense. And I mean, okay, it makes sense to some people, but I've seen some analyses on different message boards and things where people have actually argued that at this point, it's a break even with a cash purchase with a lot less obligation. So like at a certain point, you're looking at the price. If you're going to pay $185 a point plus maintenance fees for a contract, you only have 24 years. Now, I know you will get some ROI after like 7 years, supposedly, but It's just crazy to me. And so when you're looking, I guess this is sort of like my thoughts for those who may be considering an add-on or a purchase. When you're looking at it, please make sure you're looking at contract length, because if you're paying the same amount, $185 for a beach club resale contract, or $182 for Copper Creek Direct, $182 a point. That's less for a contract with over twice the years on it. So
That's a great tip. Yeah.
yeah. So if you're looking at Beach Club, the people that have Beach Club right now can sell it for the same price or more than you can purchase a new property with 50 years on it. So go ahead, consider that, and maybe you want that property that's worth 50 years so that you can resell it in 25 years after you've stayed there for 25 years, and you may even recoup your costs. I'm not arguing that it's an investment. Do not rely on this as investment advice. But unless you're like desperate to stay at Beach Club for 25 years and you'd rather stay at Beach Club for 25 years than go on vacation for 50 years, consider that. Now, there are the maintenance fees, but the maintenance fees are pretty stomachable after you've done the normal thing, because it just becomes a yearly vacation expense. But
and the maintenance fees aren't they're not going to be any less because you're buying half the length of the contract.
Right.
Yeah.
A normal contract.
What if we just wait for them to wedge another DVC over on the boardwalk, and then we buy the 50 years then?
Perfect.
Well, we haven't heard what the new DVC over by Caribbean Beach is going to be yet. What the points of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, we're just going to climb so high, you should just buy a house at Golden Oaks and call it a day.
You know, that's
maybe.
my plan. That's my plan. But seriously, I mean, like, think about it. It's just, to me, and to what Rebecca was saying during that last piece, we bought Saratoga for $62 a point, and that was 3 years ago.
Wow.
In Saratoga right now, if you buy it direct from Disney, it's $151 a point, and if you buy it resale, it's around $90 a point. I tried to average a bunch of the sites. That's crazy to me. There are like 4 years less on that contract. It is like, it should be diminishing in value. This is not like the inflation is not rational.
Right.
Do I sound a little bit loopy right now?
No, you sound very passionate, though. You're like,
no, you're exactly right.
Right. And
so my question is, though, do you think people just don't realize? Are people not informed enough to do that, to make that realization, or do they genuinely desperately want to stay at Boardwalk and Beach Club that badly?
I think that's what it is. And I know the biggest piece of advice people give people is buy where you want to stay, especially as like the properties become more competitive to book. And I get that, but you really have to want, and that's why I caveat it with, if you want to stay at Beach Club for 25 years, more than you want to stay at any of the other properties for 50 years, then go for it, because you decide what you want to do with your money. We have one life to live, and you have a budget. You do what you want to do with your money. I think we all have committed a lot of our money to Disney, and many people think we're insane. So I'm not saying for us to make rational purchase decisions, because that's crazy. However, I'm just saying that, like, keeping it in perspective, because whenever I look into purchasing anything, I do this crazy spreadsheet with all these like formulas I don't even understand. But I can tell you that I'm looking at like the premium for purchasing direct, and the least expensive annualized for direct or resale, the least expensive properties are Grand Floridian, Polynesian, and Saratoga Springs still. And Grand Floridian and Polynesian are selling resale. Let's see. Grand Floridian is selling around $145 resale, $150. And if you want to buy it direct from Disney, $220. Poly, $220. Direct from Disney, resale, $145-ish. Wow. And the reason those become a deal is because they still have 46 and 48 years on their lifespan, and they don't have crazy maintenance fees. So they end up being annualized, and this is my estimate based on the average increase in maintenance fees. So it's not totally reliable, but my estimate is that the average annualized cost of those properties is between $1,900 and $1,600 a year for about 125 points. And for Poly, it would be between 1,600 direct or 1,400 resale. For Saratoga, it would be 1,900 direct and 1,700 resale. So that puts Poly actually as the least expensive property annualized.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Isn't that nutty?
That is
That's
crazy.
Now-
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does me no good because they don't have 2-bedroom units other than the bungalows, which is crazy. But so I'm looking again at Grand Floridian and Saratoga, which are the two places that I settled on last time. But now I'm looking at the price being pretty much double what we paid. So except for Grand Floridian has like stayed around the same, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
It should be going down. The prices should be going down, or at least staying around the same because of inflation.
Right.
But
Right.
anyway, sorry. Thanks
Well,
for
I think
listening,
that,
guys.
and not to say that, Disney's trying to, trick anybody, but you're exactly right. If they're not paying attention to the length of the contract, then, that's almost like a buyer beware kind of thing. Well, it is what it is. The contract is what it is.
Yeah, the
Take
demand,
it or leave it.
the demand must be incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I'm curious, if you were to go, let's say you went on a tour, right? You were you had your DVC representative, and you were going on a tour, and you said, "Man, and you're at Copper Creek or whatever," and you're like, "But I really want Boardwalk." Would they make that distinction for you?
The length, they probably would because they're trying to sell Copper Creek.
Right.
But
yeah.
Yeah, I think they would because of Copper Creek. So I think they're going to always push the properties that they have for sale. In fact, when I talked to my guide today, he told me, despite the fact that their direct prices went up for all these properties, Grand Californian is at $235 a point. I think Brad has some, so hold on to that. Grand Floridian direct is $220, and Poly's $220. They are not even keeping a wait list anymore, he said, for Beach Club, Grand Californian, or Grand Floridian, because there are so many people that want it, they just can't even facilitate the wait list.
Wow.
And
So you're saying I'll be dead before the property comes avaavailable. That's you're
it's
being
crazy.
nice. I'm just saying.
you can keep looking. You can keep looking on the resale market.
Yeah,
That's what
absolutely.
I said to him. Can I? So is the only way to get it then resale? And he said, no. You can keep calling, and if we happen to have it available, then we'll sell it to you. But we have to have it available at that time. And so I asked him, do you have any Grand Floridian? Because at this point, I'm looking at a very small distinction between direct purchase and resale. Mm-hmm. And the advantage of a direct purchase would be that I could divide, and this is another tip for you buyers, if you want to divide up your contract, when you purchase resale, you get the amount, you get however many points there are in the lump sum or in the portions that they were already allocated to that original purchaser. But if you buy direct, you can have it subdivided into multiple contracts. And since I have 3 kids, I would like to divide the contract up.
Oh, you're so nice.
In little 3 chunks. You
Nice.
do pay extra closing costs. But yeah, I mean, especially if I'm buying a 50-year contract, I sure hope I'm using it in 50 years. But if I'm not, I would like them to be able to take their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
It makes sense to be able to divide it up, and also small contracts sell higher.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get rid of a 50-pointer, it's easy to toss off a 50-pointer when you find out you're not using all of your points anymore.
Yeah, I think Joe ran into that because he was trying to buy a small contract and he kind of kept getting sniped because they're so popular.
Right. Because everybody wants just 50 points more.
Yeah,
You're right.
I just want to add on.
Right.
I just want to add
Fine.
on.
I just need one more hit.
Exactly.
I just need a little fix, just a taste.
I just need to stay DVC for Star Wars weekend. So,
Well,
But,
Emily,
yeah.
let's end this on a
Sorry.
positive note, shall we? Let's just end. No, let's
back and forth right now.
This is where the booze and bags come in.
Yeah, we got to get to the other show. What were your impressions of Copper Creek?
Just have
my
a bar.
Kinda.
Close. It's close.
Yeah.
Right. So it was gorgeous. So we looked at the units first. They have the main lodge. Certain areas were renovated a la Poly, where they took a whole longhouse and renovated it to DVC. So Matt was in love with those. My husband, he was looking at those. Oh, shoot. I forgot to force him to be on this episode, guys. I'm sorry. We'll get him next time, guys. I got distracted because he said he'd watch the kids,
Distraction.
He loved the kitchen area. So there's actually like a built-in, the table is more of a rectangular table with seats around it versus, for example, we just stayed at Wilderness Lodge, Boulder Ridge, and there's the circular table with the movable chairs. This had sort of more of a, I would call it more of a cafeteria style table.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he thought that the layout for the galley kitchen was so much better. And he liked the table situation better. And actually, I could see that it would be a lot easier for our family because we wouldn't, at Boulder Ridge, every time we were eating, we moved chairs in and out or rearranged the table settings. So there was a lot of like moving furniture going on versus this place was like already sort of set up. It reminded me of like a room in a cruise ship, a stateroom.
Oh.
Because it was, so it was a lot more modern looking, which I don't ever love, but he loves.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're into that kind of thing, it's not as highly themed like the Boulder Ridge rooms where you feel like a little bit more cabiny and foresty. These rooms are a lot more modern looking, but they do have really beautiful furnishings, like the finishes everywhere are just really nice looking. Then we went into the cabin. So that was sort of in the lower level of the main villa. And the cool thing about Copper Creek is that they do have 1-bedrooms, studios, 1-bedroom walk-offs, or 2-bedroom walk-offs. So when I'm looking at the Poly, I'm looking at a studio or a bungalow. That doesn't work for my family because we're all either stuck in a studio together or we're in a bungalow, which is obviously not going to happen. Because if we're doing that, we're doing it just the two of us.
Right.
But if you go to Copper Creek, because they have those units in there, you're in the main lodge, and they do have 2 bedrooms, which is something we're probably going to be moving into if I can ever stomach purchasing another contract at these prices. So that's kind of a cool value in Copper Creek because even though it seems like a smaller property, it actually has like a huge range of different units. So a studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom. And they also have grand villas, which are the 3-bedroom units. And that's not even the cabin, which is actually considered, I think, a 2-bedroom cabin. Oh. So we didn't look in a grand villa, but I'm sure it's glorious, just like all the other grand villas, which are they're just beautiful.
Amazing. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. If you ever get the chance to go into a grand villa, I mean, they have they're just gorgeous. They're huge. They're beautiful. Like I saw an old Key West one once. It was amazing. So sorry, I'm talking.
They're very luxurious.
Yes, they are. But so the cabins are incredible. They're incredible. Like I would move into one. Beautiful beds. The 1-bedroom has the fold down, the little Murphy twin, which is sort of familiar to people that have stayed in a studio in the Poly or the Grand Floridian, where they have those fold downs where they have like a little mural built into it. Super cute. They have grill stations between every so many of the cabins. So it's not a private grill, but it's shared probably between I want to say every 3 to 6 cabins. I didn't really pay that much attention. The layout is gorgeous. You walk through a separate little arch to get to the cabin area, and it's all sort of reserved area, but it's not gated off like the Poly. So if you're just a regular day guest, you can walk through and look at the cabins, and I think you should because it's gorgeous. And let's see what else. They have a plunge pool. I would call it a plunge pool rather than like a hot tub or a pool in each of the units. So it's got the step down, but it's very small, like maybe like 4 foot by 4 foot or 5 foot by 5 foot. Screened-in porch, which they said they learned from the Poly, was a good thing.
Right.
So it's not going to be as buggy. Mm-hmm. You would have a perfect view of the, the floating water pageant.
Oh, the electric water project.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and and we saw that from Geyser Point, which was so much fun. Yeah. So fun, so whimsical and beautiful. It's right near the cabins are also right near the Reunion Station area. The kitchen, of course, is gorgeous. Let's see what else. They have an indoor-outdoor fireplace. So
oh, wow.
In the living room area, it goes to an outdoor fire. It's an Yep. So you can sit outside in the two chairs. I know. It was like, I mean, I could really honestly see, like, the Polynesian bungalows, I think they're gorgeous, but I think they're kind of like funny to me. Like, I'm never going to stay in one. But the Copper Creek cabins, I could see saving up, especially as we get older and go less to the parks, saving up the points from like 1 or 2 years and then making a special long weekend of that. It was gorgeous. Like, we would, if that was an option, if that was not like $600 to $900 a week, I would buy the points for that today.
I was going to ask how the points for the cabins compared to the points for the bungalows.
That is a good question.
I can look it up right quick while you keep talking.
You got it. So let me think, what else? Oh, we did just a little bit of a trip report in here too. We did check out we did the s'more roasting at the s'more roasting sounds so weird. We made s'mores at the campfire, and that was just like, my kids were going nuts. It was so much fun. Huge crowd of people. We actually bought an extra s'more kit to share with people because there were so many people there. And the s'more kits now are $8, or maybe they're $10, $8 or $10 for s'more. No, I'm sorry, $12, somewhere in that range. And they make 8 s'mores. So we just bought 2 kits and thought we would share them with everybody. And then one of my kids ate all the chocolate out of one of the kits. Classic.
I would do that.
Right.
That is awesome.
And we rode bikes around. We rode bikes from Wilderness Lodge to Fort Wilderness, and we checked out the ranch over at Fort Wilderness, and that was amazing. I highly recommend an unstructured trip if you get the chance to do it. And I think DVC
trip. I like
yeah. My husband made me promise we wouldn't make any plans, so we really didn't, and we got there and it was glorious. Like, we just did what we felt like doing every day.
Very relaxing.
It was amazing. Yeah, and I feel like that's really one of the main things about DVC. We kept seeing people that were really stressed out and talking about how, jokingly saying, Disney's not a vacation for the parents. And we're like, well, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you just
I'm going to jump in
know.
really quick and just give you those 2-point values, because I did just look them up. So I literally just did a random week. I actually did next week, Sunday to Sunday, just to pinpoint a number. So Polynesian Villas bungalow would be for the week 754 points.
Mm-hmm.
Copper Creek Villa cabin, same week, 581 points.
So they're less expensive.
Pretty significant. Pretty 150, 130 points. Yeah, pretty significant difference.
I sure do wish, though, that these places had more beds in them. And I know that sounds crazy, but they're only 2 bedrooms. They only hold really like 8 to 9 people.
You're like, I could put so many more people in this room.
Well, if I was going to get a cabin, I would want to invite, like, my parents, my sister, and her husband, and their babies. Like, I would want to go all out. But at this rate, I'm going to stick them in a studio while we're in the cabin. And that just feels wrong, I mean, we're going to do it that way, but
it's so right as well. I'm just saying. You need that separation. You need the separation. Well, yeah, the cabins sleep 8, and the 3-bedroom grand villas sleep 12. So you can always head on over there.
That's what I'm thinking, is that if we did that, we would actually probably end up trying to get a grand villa, because that would be, if we were going to go all out. We also, like, when the Star Wars land opens, I'm trying to get enough points together that we could get a grand villa, invite a bunch of friends that are nerds like us.
Nice.
And I think that would be fun. Obviously, you guys are at the top of the list.
Good to know.
So when I think nerd, I think
as a renter, I always sort of look at it from a renter perspective. So I was looking at those 2-point values from a renting perspective. So paying on average $15 a point, which is probably about what you would pay for that. So the difference between the 754 points and the 581 points for the week is almost $2,600.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's significant.
Yeah.
Right. It absolutely
and honestly, just from a personal perspective, the cabins are more my personal preference. So
yes, I agree. Totally agree. And then to bring it back to bags,
and while we're talking about prices,
I couldn't find Spartina at One Cherry Tree or whatever the thing is at Marketplace. Yeah, they only had Doonies, although they had a pretty good selection. But I saw the cutest bag in Bay Lake Tower, or I'm sorry, the Contemporary, their gift shop, they had a little wristlet, a Dooney wristlet that says "Never Grow Up," and it's got a Peter Pan silhouette. And I totally forgot to buy it because I figured I'd see it somewhere else. Didn't see it anywhere else. Now I'm going to have to buy it in April if it's still there.
That one really on my list.
I think it's totally descriptive of me in so many ways.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it like Peter Pan green? Did it have greens or what was it?
It's black and white, which is also very me because I'm boring like that.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Bob, I think we're running out of time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, they were cutting out, Tim.
I know. I don't know what happened there.
Just kill the show right now.
Oh my goodness!
And
I think it's black on the other side. So black and then it says "Never Grow Up" on the other side. So that's great because I could take it to work, and when my boss is around, I could have the black subdued look. And then when my coworkers are around, I could flip it and be like, "Never grow up."
Never grow up. And speaking of bars, a huge shout out to our friend Christopher over at our running group.
Abracadabra.
Yes, from the Abracadabra Bar and our running group over on, why can I not remember the name?
Rocketeers. Yeah.
I need to run some more. Anyway, congratulations to him for like a billion things, but also mostly for his latest engagement in house buying and marathon running.
Oh my
gosh. Just being an all-around swell guy. So a special shout out to him.
And have you seen / read about his fiance? Because she is he is so wonderful. And I'm pretty sure that she is his perfect match because she also seems wonderful.
Yeah.
And she's a runner too. And I think she's a Rocketeer, actually. I think we forced her to join too.
So if you see him over at the Abracadabra, make sure you tell him congratulations.
Yes. And get a drink from him because he is so much fun to talk to. He's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
Yep.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Oh, and I went to Cava.
Speaking of shout outs, we've got a shout out to the entire Disney Corporation for with the announcement was made last week about they're giving all of their employees $1,000 bonus.
Bonuses for everyone.
How nice is that?
Yay to that!
That is awesome.
Over 125,000 people. For the Disney Corporation will receive $1,000 bonus. So, and we know all of us who have been there many, many times, there are a lot of folks down there, especially at Walt Disney World, that work behind the scenes, mousekeeping and the grounds and all of that. That $1,000 is going to be a very nice little something for them. So
you could buy 4 points at Grand Californian for that. Sorry, not after tax.
Wow.
I'd like to buy a 4-point add-on.
Always comes back around to DVC. I love it. I love it. Well, Tim.
Yes.
We gotta let these lovely ladies go. So that is all I've got.
Excellent.
We're gonna let them continue the.
We've got more.
We'll have a post show. Exactly.
We're gonna need a dedicated episode to bags.
We will do that. That sounds like a good idea.
I don't see no problem with that.
Absolutely.
Before we go, Rebecca, where can people find you?
You can find me at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all under BeccaBerries73.
Awesome. How about Emily?
I recently joined Instagram, but I forget my name.
Okay.
I think, it's Objects That Knock. And it's pretty fun. And I am at Disney Lounging at the website, and we're going to be putting up some new lounge reviews from the Edison and from, all the cool new places down there. I did have 3 children, so it was an abbreviated kind of experience. But Tara, Rebecca, and I will rip the place up in April. And then first comes WDW, if you want to hear my more nerdy musings. And then, of course, I'm always at Looper Nation Live, hanging out there, talking to people, and on Facebook. Then I'm also at Resort Loop Rocketeers, cheering on our runners. And that's pretty much it. I'm pretty much wherever you want to be.
Awesome. Well, ladies, thanks for joining us. I'm sure next month we'll be able to have
in the Grand Floridian.
I'm sure Brad and Jill will be joining us. I know they're both sad they couldn't make it this time, they were missed. But
we missed them.
Yeah. Everybody, I'm Tim Scott. Facebook, Twitter, the website, ResortLoop.com.
Like us on Facebook, rate us on iTunes, subscribe to the show, and what else should folks do, Tim?
Everyone go out there to Facebook and share the Gateway to the Magic.
See you, everybody.
Vacation memories will stay with you and your family for a lifetime. The Resort Loop Travel Group was created with this in mind. Our fee-free services will relieve you of the stress and confusion of finding and booking the best vacation at the best price. After booking, we will continue to monitor for ways to save you even more on your vacation. We will check for any upcoming packages and discounts to save you as many vacation dollars as possible. Resort Loop Travel Group, gateway to your magical vacation memories. Get a quote, or for more information, visit ResortLoopTravelGroup.com.
Let me stop the record. Okay,
there we go.
It was so much better without those two.
Oh, I didn't want to say anything, but I thought it was just me.
And notice I probably amped up my word count per second. Like, it was crazy.
Oh.
I was just like, how many words can I say in a minute?
We kid because we love.